Do I drink too much? Maybe I should cut back for a while. Am I an alcoholic? If you've ever had these thoughts, if you ever questioned your relationship with alcohol in any way, then this is the video for you. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Summer Stop Drinking. I'm Summer, and this video is going to answer the question, how do you know if you need to stop drinking? Okay, so let's answer the question. How do you know if you need to stop drinking? Well, if you're anything like me, you might think that there are two categories of drinkers. There are normal drinkers, and there are, alcoholics, raging alcoholics who have obvious problems with drinking. The truth is that alcohol use issues are a spectrum. It's not black and white. There are gray area drinkers. I'm going to talk to you a lot about that, but let's address the obvious first. Now, alcohol is a really terrible substance, I believe. It increases your risk for all sorts of cancers. It increases risk to your brain health. It's just not good for you. So I believe that even if you don't drink in a obviously problematic way, even if you fall into that category of normal drinker, it's still really useful to look at your relationship with alcohol and figure out whether or not it is serving you. Now, what do I mean by is it serving you? I mean, is it improving your life in any way? When you drink, what are you getting out of it? Why do you drink? What are those moments that you're choosing to drink? Now, you can come up with different things for these answers, and you might come to different conclusions. I think that everyone could benefit from not drinking alcohol. I think everyone could benefit from removing alcohol from their life. So even if you're a normal drinker, I still think it's important to take a look at that. So that's that category out of the way. Alcoholics or extreme problem drinkers. So clearly, if you have a physical dependence on alcohol, if you've gotten a DUI, if you've had legal problems due to your alcohol use, if you've had massive life issues such as losing a job, getting your children taken away from you, losing your home, ending relationships, things like that, yes, you should remove alcohol from your life. Clearly, it's affecting you very badly, and you should not drink anymore. Now, my disclaimer, of course, is if you do have a physical dependency on alcohol, do not try to quit drinking without consulting a medical professional. Get medical help. It can be life-threatening if you do it in the wrong way. That's my disclaimer for that. Okay, so now the main focus of this video. What if you're not sure? What if you fall into the category where you don't have a physical dependency on alcohol, you're not necessarily drinking every day, but when you do drink, you encounter problems, and you found yourself wondering more and more, perhaps, if you need to stop drinking? I would categorize myself as a gray area drinker. Now, I did not have a physical dependence on alcohol. I wasn't necessarily a daily drinker all of the time. I was more of a binge drinker. And more importantly, when I drank, I didn't have the ability to moderate. Once I started, I lost my ability to logically look at whether or not I should keep going. So once I started, I kept going until I was blackout drunk, the vast majority of the time when I drank. However, I think the way that I drank, especially when I was younger, especially when I was in college or in my 20s, it looked like what society tells us drinking can look like. Yes, I was getting too drunk, but I was partying. I was young. I was this, I was that. And once I had kids, it's like the whole mommy wine culture thing came into play, and it's like, okay, yeah, I was drinking more often than felt right, but life was hard, I was stressed out, I worked, I had my kids, and why not drink? When you start really looking at your relationship with alcohol and wondering whether or not you should stop, it can feel a little dramatic For me at first I thought, am I being dramatic? Is this really a necessary conversation for me to have? Yeah, it's a problem sometimes. Yeah, it's been a really big problem sometimes, but it's not that way all the time. Something horrible didn't happen every single time that I drank, but almost every horrible thing that did occur in my life occurred because of drinking. My big answer to this question, how do I know that I need to stop drinking, is, what is alcohol doing for your life? For me, it was making my life worse. It was making my life worse in so many ways. It was harming my personal relationships. It was harming my motivation. It was affecting my mental health, giving me increased anxiety and depression. It was affecting my physical health very frequently. I didn't feel good. I was hungover a lot of the time, hungover trying to be a parent, hungover trying to be a professional. It was awful. It was awful. And then sometimes there were occasions when it was really, really awful and really problematic things were happening in my life. Personally, I think that if you're questioning it, the answer is yes, you need to stop drinking. People that truly don't have an issue with alcohol aren't sitting there Googling, am I an alcoholic? People who truly don't have an issue with alcohol don't struggle to moderate. They don't set these arbitrary rules for themselves like I was doing. I will only drink beer or wine, no hard liquor. I'll only have X amount of drinks before this time, and I'll stop by this time. I'm gonna give myself this break for this amount of time. It was all just a bunch of rules and things and structures that I was trying to set up for myself in order to keep drinking, but it was exhausting. Moderation was too hard. That's why I ultimately stopped, because anytime I tried to moderate, anytime I tried to set those limits on myself, it was so much more work. Now that I don't drink at all, now that I've given up the idea of being able to moderate, now that I know that there is no place for alcohol in my life, I feel so much more free. I'm not worried about it. It's not something I have to consider. I'm not sitting around watching what other people are drinking, wondering when I can have my next drink, wondering how I can control this tonight. I'm not doing that. I'm just free. I'm just free, and it feels so good. But even if it's as minor as I really only have a glass of wine now and then, and I don't like the way it makes me feel in the morning, even if it's that small, that can be enough. It doesn't have to be extreme. You don't have to be homeless and losing your job and your marriage and your whatever. You don't have to have this big dramatic story in order to decide that alcohol doesn't work for you. Now, one of the biggest barriers to quitting alcohol, I think for many people, and you know that it was for me, is this idea that things are black and white, that you have to reach a certain point in order to decide to stop, and that's just not the case. Wondering if I was an alcoholic, trying to find a way out of that, trying to rationalize my alcohol use, trying to look at it and thinking, well, it's not that bad. Compared to this person, I haven't hit this kind of rock bottom. Looking at all of that, it kept me trapped in the cycle of over drinking, of this horrible addiction cycle that I was in for so long, because I was comparing where I was to where I'd seen people be in movies, or where, you know, I knew certain people that I'd known in my life had been, and I just was like, well, I'm not that, so I guess I'm fine. And that's just not the case. It's not one or the other. You can be anywhere. For me, alcohol was harming my life, unequivocally. It was creating a disaster in my life, and I was headed for worse. You know, no, I had never had a DUI. No, I had never lost a job due to drinking. No, I'd never had any of those type of obvious catastrophic events occur in my life, though other things had happened. But who knows? Who knows if I had kept going? And so that's what I want to urge you to look at. I want you to not think in that black and white cycle, not think, well, it's not as bad as so-and-so, it's not as bad as it looks in this movie, I should just keep going. I really want to give everyone watching this permission to just realize that you can stop at any point. If it's harming you in any way, you can stop. And I know that it's easy to want to try moderation and to want to try all these other things. Ultimately, I believe it's so much more trouble than it's worth. You feel so much more free. It's so much better in every way once you just cut it out of your life. So that's my answer. If the question is, how do I know if I need to stop drinking? The answer is, if it is harming your life in any way, shape, or form, however big, however small, that's when you know. Cut it out. That's when you know it's time to stop. If it's harming you, just stop. It's okay. I know that it's hard, and I know it's not as easy as just stop, but that decision in your heart and in your mind can be made by just asking yourself that question: is it harming me? So that's all I have for this video. Stay tuned for more. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that this video finds you well. I hope you stay tuned for future videos. Thank you so much for listening. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with anyone you think could benefit from it. Thank you.